They've been treating our farmers very badly. They've been treating our country very badly for years. Look, we like Canada. I love Canada. I have so many friends in Canada. But they've been very poorly led. They've been very, very poorly led. And all we want is fairness for our country.
Oh, and you've been so hard done by, USA. Oh, our hearts bleed. Oh, I got a little teared up there. Oh, my heavens. I apologize for the sarcasm. Good afternoon, James Mennie. Happy Friday.
And to you, and I never apologize for my sarcasm, and I wish I was being sarcastic. As you and I speak, the voice we just heard, Donald J. Trump, is unhinged again, melting down almost as bad as the markets did today, as his fantastical tariffs are theoretically going into effect, or maybe not. But of course, the big news is that unhappy with a jobs report that suggested that, you know what, America's not really producing that many jobs. In fact, the economy is slowing down. So that, coupled with markets, led Donald Trump to fire the statistician who produced those figures, describing her as a Biden appointee. So essentially, if he doesn't like the reality, he'll just change it. And as I've said a zillion times on the show, Trudy, it's not a matter of Donald Trump. The question now is, how much longer will Americans put up with this? And maybe they will. Maybe they'll go for their 4 years, as long as there's money in their pockets, as long as they feel safe, as long as he's saying the things that they want to hear, they'll keep him in office. But the fact is, he's in huge trouble. And I would not be surprised if this weekend, even though you got a barbecue plan, perhaps, maybe tacos will be on the weekend. Trump always chickens out. I think he may take a step back and say, well, listen, no, we've looked at the situation and all the confusion with our jobs numbers and this and that, and we're going to be standing down on the implementation of the tariffs for 2 weeks, because he already gave Mexico 90 days. And I every time I see something about Mexico with this guy, I wonder, what do they have on him? Because clearly he has been laying off President Sheinbaum since day one. When she pushed back, even though Trudeau went scampering down to Mar-a-Lago, she pushed back, and he has really, kept the gloves on with her. But in the meantime, we ask, well, what's happening here in Canada? Well, 91% of our exports to the U.S. are not covered by tariffs. So it's not like this huge thunderbolt's come down. But that said, the ones that are being targeted, aluminum, steel, lumber, these are huge industries in this country. And yet, even though these tariffs, at least for the time being, are scheduled to be implemented, I don't know if you saw this new Angus Reid survey that came out today, actually, pointing out that, once again, Canadians' enthusiasm for pushing back at Donald Trump has exceeded what appears to be the Carney administration's desire to do so. Doug Ford even today was saying, we got to go back. We should be putting counter tariffs on. And indeed, as of August 1st, 69% of respondents in this survey said, you know what, take a hard line and refuse the concessions. And if our trade relations worsen with the U.S., man, too bad, so sad. Which is interesting, because that's 6 points more than last July. And since last July, we've had nothing but more uncertainty. So it really seems that what we've suggested on the show before is, in fact, crystallizing into a reality, which is Canadians are simply pissed off with the U.S., with Donald Trump, with the bluster, with the BS, and they're saying, you know what, never mind, take a stand, let's go back. And in the meantime as well, I mean, there are honeymoons and there are honeymoons. Mark Carney still enjoys an approval rating of more than 50%. And we're just really seeing a kind of interesting evolution of Canadian opinion and Canadian attitudes. And I really would I cannot say this often enough. Please don't think this will end after Donald Trump is gone. I think our perception of the U.S. and what it meant to a lot of us and our parents and their parents, that's been blown out the airlock. And I don't care. The Americans can turn around, stand on their heads once Trump is gone and say, oh, we're sorry, we're taking everything back. I think the damage has been done, Trudy. And I don't know. If I was running a joint up in Old Orchard Beach right now, I might be rethinking my financial future.
Yeah, you might be right about that, because I think this whole experience has really showed us that, longest undefended border, hands across the border, this type of stuff. You know what? He was talking about invading us. We have to have a little bit more of a nuanced view of our gigantic, powerful neighbor to the south. A little bit more we have to show more self-interest, in my view. But let me ask you this, James. If the tacos are dished up this weekend, you know that Donald Trump always needs a face-saving story for why he's backing off. So what do you think he's going to say so it doesn't look like a back off, so it looks like a victory?
It'll be like many people came up to him with tears in their eyes saying, Mr. President, we understand that your tariffs are the best thing ever to happen in this country and will make America great again. But in the short term, with the uncertainty on the markets and the fact that, thank goodness, you were able to establish that these numbers are being rigged against you. Can we just, clear the air and get things straightened out, and thereby, allow us to set a new, clear, accurate course for America's great future? I can see something like that happening, because he can't. And plus, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but we can't separate the two things. Big news on the Ghislaine Maxwell front as well. She's been moved from maximum security to I think it's a medium or even minimum security prison camp in Texas. And now the concern is this guy, she's going to trade a completely half-baked story exonerating Trump in exchange for a pardon. And I think a lot of people, are becoming equally unhinged over that prospect, because this is above and beyond everything else. Above and beyond the absurdities and obscenities that have occurred on Donald Trump's watch, this is the story number one on the minds of a lot of Americans. And I know, I've said it before, and many people have said it before, and they've been wrong. But I hate to say it, Trudy, this may be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Okay. I will entertain that notion. I will entertain that. The thing about Ghislaine Maxwell that bugs me is she's proven herself to be a compulsive liar. Why on earth would anyone believe anything she would say now? Because I wouldn't put her past her not only to exonerate Trump in exchange for freedom, but to, throw
Implicate
some accusations at some prominent Democrats.
Yeah, absolutely. But the one thing, and I hate to say it this way, Trudy, you're saying, well, she's been proved to be a compulsive liar. The President of the United States is a compulsive liar, a demonstrable compulsive liar. So either, he's hoping that the American public will remain as brain dead with her as they did with him, and things will unfold as they should, or maybe they won't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being too pessimistic here. It wasn't a huge landslide of a victory. It was just enough to put him into power. And these last few days, Trudy, I'm not even talking about our standard of conduct, even the American standard of conduct. Is it possible he's gone too far? Is it possible that there are some Republicans who are turning around and saying, this house is going to burn down, and I don't want to be inside when it does? Could we see that change? I'm not entirely sure, but I think for the time being, in the short term, Trump is going to ease off. I really think he's going to ease off. Will it be this weekend? Will it be a few days later? Remember, he's got that 7-day window for all the sanctions being executed anyway. So he might just turn around and say, because of all this confusion, I'm going to go easy on it. I'm pretty sure right now the phone calls Donald Trump are getting from the people who actually own him are saying, they're not talking about Ghislaine Maxwell. They are talking about the markets today.
Speaking of tariffs, can we bring it to the provincial level? Because I understand
Absolutely.
You have some thinking about tariffs vis-a-vis François Legault.
Listen, François Legault is a politician who has been perpetually in search of a crisis. He was never as popular, never as absolutely, omnipotent as he was during the COVID pandemic. Issuing, directives on curfews and essentially turning it into a kind of a semi-martial law situation, in enforcing people, if you're on the road after about 9 p.m. or something, you got a ticket or you have to explain yourself. I think that given his situation right now, given his party's place in the polls, he is going to do his absolute best now to try and reinvent himself as the kind, Quebec's answer to Doug Ford, i.e., I may not be capping Canada, but I'll be capping Quebec, I'll be protecting, and he said today, we will be doing everything we can to lighten the burden on Quebec workers and on Quebec industries. I don't really know how, because normally if you lighten the burden, Trudy, you do it by throwing money at them, and money is something that this government does not have in good supply. But I really think that this may be an opportunity, let's say, for the CAQ to try and claw its way out of the political ditch that it drove itself into with a series of really stupid decisions. But once again, we'll see, because we had a bad day today. The markets had a bad day today. Is it going to happen tomorrow, or is it going to happen on Monday and next week? We'll see, because the markets have been pretty hot up until today. But I really get the impression that the idea of wrapping himself up in some kind of, this is a wartime cabinet. We have to think of Quebec first. We've got to, oil pipelines. Yeah, maybe oil pipelines, and the liquid natural gas. Yeah, sure. Maybe not. Changing the channel on the old François Legault in an effort to make it possible for the new François Legault to survive in another term.
James Mennie, enjoy your weekend.
You too, Trudy.
James Mennie, reporter, columnist, and editor at the Montreal Gazette.